I hope you're ready to play the stock game, because today, at the Proving Grounds, we're starting our own stock market, and we're forced to vesting in Vostok Inc. by Wild Productions. Now, this game advertises itself as the world's first action arcade clicker, and it's a mixture of a twin-stick shooter, space travel, arcade elements, management of business, money, resources, and, as it said at the end, a clicker game, or specifically an idle clicker game, which I think is important to note, because the difference between a clicker game and an idle clicker game is a clicker game requires you to interact with it constantly, and that cannot be left idle. An idle clicker game does require you to spend the resources to manage whatever particular thing you're managing still. However, you can go idle and it can continue building up those sources. This is usually more common than a normal clicker game, but there are a few games that don't have the idle aspect. But this does have the idle aspect. So you play as the CEO of Vostok, and you and your, you could say, Secretary Jimmy go out to start a business and become filthy, freaking rich as you start out in the solar system of Earth. But you'll eventually start traveling to completely other solar systems to spread your wealth, your resources, and your money. So the basic concept, outside of the business managing, you'll fly around space and you'll get attacked by different aliens. Each sector has a different type of alien that's in control of that portion of the solar system and you'll have to deal with them trying to fight you. You can get into fights where they lock you into a certain sector of space, forcing you to combat them, or you can brush off away at times of that, and there's a boss in each one. These have twin stick shooter elements. What's fun in this portion of the game is there are 3 types of guns, and you can combine those guns to make even more types of guns. Some of the later guns, like one of the most powerful ones I created, was one that shoots unicorns. It, like, destroyed the living crap out of the final boss of the game for me. There was a lot of different types of guns: heat-seeking missiles, machine guns, spread guns, shooting lightning, a flamethrower. So you can get a lot of different ship upgrades. And on top of your weapons, you do get ship upgrades you can also add into increasing your health, the kind of moolah you get from enemies, bosses, encounters, chests from asteroids that are in space and such. This is a lot of the gameplay aspect of the game. Now, sadly, one of the things I criticize with this game is that I think it was an interesting idea to add a lot of gameplay elements with an clicker idle type system, but I think what it kind of fails in is giving you a lot of meaningful gameplay. This doesn't have a lot of meaningful gameplay. Like, there's not really much in a story or tasks to do outside of the aspect of getting money in space. You just encounter aliens and asteroids and a boss in each sector that you can fight. There's no, like, quests, missions, or any overarching story. The story basically just involves you just, getting filthy rich. And while Jimmy adds some silly dialogue here and there, he can be annoying, which thankfully you can turn him off if you can't stand him. But I admit, I enjoyed some of the wisecracking jokes and puns, the things he will bring up occasionally, but I can also understand why people can also find him incredibly annoying. But the gameplay, I feel like the kind of gameplay it goes for in the space exploration is kind of a pick up, play, and then put down kind of experience, which makes this perfect for the Switch, which it is on the Switch. Now, it's also on PS4 and PC. As far as I know, it's not on the Vita, as far as I can tell. As far as I know, it's on PC, Switch, and PS4. It does have a physical version also for Switch and PS4, but I'll get into that when we go over the price and stuff. Still got those stuff to go in the year. So, the clicking idle stuff has to do with all the business managing. As you get some money to start out with from asteroids or other aliens and that, you want to land on the different planets of each solar system and that, and start building. You'll build mines, farms, power stations, oil fields, real estate, places to live, laboratories, shopping malls, food, anything that can find ways to get moolah. On top of that, you'll also want to make a satellite, an auto-transferring moolah collector. If you don't have a satellite for that planet, you have to visit that planet to collect the money from it, or sit on that planet to continue collecting money off that planet. So it's always recommended to build a satellite for each planet you visit, so you don't have to come back to it, and it just gives you the moolah. Wasn't really too hard. A few points in the middle, it at times was a bit tricky to get a satellite paid for, as you get into different tiers of heightening money. And this is why I think it was like an interesting idea to mix gameplay with an idle clicker, because you can build most of the buildings you got, and then you can just go wide around space, blow up shit and stuff. Now, there are a few other side things you can do, like you can get the ability to do races and that. The races are just a quick burst through space and that, but not like, I feel like the gameplay aspect is really a pick up and drop kind of experience, not something you sit down and go like, I'm going to play 5 hours of this. Now, the idle aspect of it is only functioning when the game is on. There are some idle games that simulate the idle experience while being off. This is not one of those. This has to be on in idle, which, especially if you're on PC, isn't really difficult to do. But I do actually feel like this is a better experience on the Switch because it's mobile, and like I said, I feel like this is the type of game that's pick up and play. But you'll split out through the solar systems. Each solar system has a boss. They're different. Some are a little easier and some are a little harder. By the last 3, the game got really easy for me because my unicorn gun was just so fucking OP. It like disintegrated the final boss. And he had multiple forms. And he just melted like hot butter. It was just kind of crazy. And the game has a lot of things to buy. Even if you finish the game, I still don't have everything bought. There's many ship upgrades. There's a lot of things to still buy. Hell, there's even the funny credits. There's a arcade game that acts as the credits for the game that you unlock as a ship upgrade. So you can do a lot of customization for your guns, your life bars, moolah gained from enemies and stuff. And on top of that, you can also collect employees. You have managers that can increase your moolah, increase the percentage of moolah based on their happiness, which you can either play their weird little Tamagotchi-like mini games or give them presents. And there's also just regular employees that give a flat increase that you don't have to make happy at all. They just want your ship. There is a point to note that if your ship dies, you lose your regular employees, but you do keep the executives alive even if you die. So it is encouraged, especially as you fill up your ship with regular employees, because you can stack quite a few employees in your ship to stay alive to get that boost to all your moolah. Overall, though, can I recommend this game? If you were looking for something quick to play for a little while, I think this is a good game for that. I like some of the ideas. I just wish they added a little bit more meaningful gameplay into it. But if you like having a game running in the background or something, this can fulfill that. I think out of the very few clicker style games I've ever played, which I've tried 2 other ones that were free on my PS4, I think it was an interesting step for that kind of idea. I just kind of wish the gameplay aspect had a little bit more than generic arcade twin stick shooting. It works and it's fine, but it's not very meaningful after you kill all the bosses and that. I feel like if they had some kind of idea to have a lot of kind of quests or something, it could have made it a lot more interesting in actually playing it. Because, I mean, you can basically have 3 playstyles. You can either force yourself to have to, like, visit all the planets and make most of your moolah via killing things. You can do a mixture of gameplay and the business aspect on planets, or you can literally just mainly focus on the money, because your ship's level and everything and how it's upgraded is based on money. So you can play it idle-wise, you know, just build all the shops, leave it on for a while, build some more shops and stuff on other planets, leave it on for a while, and then once you feel like you're good for the boss, after some upgrades and that, go kill the boss, and then go to the next solar system. So it gives you a few different ways you can play it. You can play a mixture, or just tilt on one side or the other. But it's just not very meaningful, and in the grand scheme, after you beat the final boss, you get a little funny picture of all the managers and that. It's kind of like, oh, you succeeded in successful business and that, and then you just get dumped back into the game, and you can continue finishing up anything else you bought. On top of that, you can also go in the New Game Plus, where you just restart the game and stats it says all your stats are reset. So I don't know if those, like, if you carry over your moolah. I haven't done it. You can only have one save also per profile, at least on Switch. I would imagine it's probably the same on PS4. Don't know about PC. So if you want to have multiple saves, you'll have to have multiple profiles, at least on the Switch. So no multiple save files per person. Outside that, that's really my thoughts on Vostok Inc. It's a silly corporation capitalistic game. It's simple. It's not too deep or dwelling. It's something to waste time with, but I would say it is a step up from a lot of idle clicking style games that I've ever seen, heard of. I mean, I've heard of more than what I've ever tried. Like I said, I've only ever tried 2, just like, and basically the reason I tried out 2 was because back in the early days where these kind of games were cropping up and getting an audience, I was like, what is the interest in these games? And for me, it would be like just managing your resources until it's like to an idle state, but it's not really deep or meaningful gameplay, so I obviously never really cared to try any other ones. This I got through Limited One Games. It was a Limited One game of 3,000 copies and that, so I didn't even, you know, I don't know what a lot of the games I get from them all anymore, so I can't keep up with everything. So, that's how I ended up with this game. Price-wise, what do I think the value of this game is? I think this would be a simple, because it's a little step up from what I would think an idle game would be like. Because, like I said, it does have gameplay. I just wish they thought about some ideas to make it more interesting. Because you basically just blow up random ships, blow up asteroids, or fight the boss of that solar system. There's not really a lot of interesting elements to keep that thrilling, to say. But I think I'm going to be generous and give this a $9.99 value, which is underneath its digital price. This game sells for $14.99 digitally. So I am undoing the price tag of the game. Now, if you want physically, Limited One Games had the Switch version for $3,000.1, And then, like I said, there was also a PS4 version. Now, the thing to keep in mind with these is they're both PAL. Even the Switch version that Limited One Games did was PAL. I don't know why it was, but it was. You can get these at an okay price on eBay. eBay was the only place I could find the PS4 version. Like, there's one for sale for $17.70 for the PS4. There's only 4 listings for PS4 on eBay right now, though. Though there were quite a few for the Switch version. So, and the price tag is kind of around $20 to $39, with, of course, a few of those waiting for it to become harder to get, so people will buy. Like, there's one for $80 with a best offer. Like, you know, definitely wouldn't recommend. Like, if you're gonna go physical, I would try to aim like 29 max, honestly. Like, that definitely feels like a ballpark around there between 19 to 29, I think, would be fair for a physical version. It's not a terrible game by any means. It's just not something I could imagine someone sitting down playing for multiple hours straight. But I would recommend the Switch version if you're looking for something to pick up and play. I think it's a nice game. You can turn on, kill, 10, 15, 20 minutes, car trip or something, do some management stuff, and then turn it off of that. I think this was an interesting, how should I say, groundwork for something that could involve what clicking idle games are into more of actual gameplay mixed with idle clicker gameplay. But I'd say it misses that shot a little bit. But it would be interesting to see if somebody can go the extra length and have something, get like some more in-depth kind of gameplay with some of the elements. Overall, it was an interesting game, but like I said, I would file it under time waster. I wouldn't really say it's worth tracking down unless you're just looking for a time waster managing type game. Fulfills that, but outside that, that's really it. I wouldn't say it's super memorable. The story and that's all played just for the setting and that. It's not Soul Sacrifice. I know some people are waiting for that review, but I want to put some good work into that one, so that one's just kind of been sitting in the back. But anyway, those are my thoughts on Vostok Inc. There's not really any spoilers to go after, you just basically have a successful business. Ooh, yeah. Crazy. Who would have imagined successful business in a game about managing business and earning money? Yeah. But, yep, those are my thoughts. If you have any questions, feel free to leave a comment down below or message me on Twitch. And if you feel like you learned anything interesting, feel free to leave a like. And if you feel like you learned absolutely nothing, feel free to leave a dislike on those stocks, though. And I'll see you next time in the Proving Grounds. Be careful of those dog coins and GameStop stocks. It's a mean game out there in the stock market. Ow.